Hi everyone, the channel Easy Lecture welcomes you. In this video we are going to discuss about Nyquist plot. So to discuss Nyquist plot I have taken this question. Many people say that Nyquist plot and polar plot are same, but there are a lot of differences between Nyquist plot and polar plot. Using polar plot we can determine whether a system is stable or unstable or marginally stable, but not the exact stability point. Whereas using Nyquist plot we can determine the range of stability, range of open loop gain for stability as that of Rotherford's criterion. So actually, even in the plot, the Nyquist plot covers the entire plane, whereas polar plot it is related with only one half of the plane, one half of S plane. So like the differences are there, and a mirror image of polar plot becomes Nyquist plot. Like the differences between Nyquist plot and polar plot are that, which will be discussed in another video in detail. Here to plot Nyquist plot, we are going to plot this plot in GSHS plane instead of S plane. So that is the main thing. And here we determine the Nyquist counter in S plane for the given open loop transfer function. We transfer that Nyquist counter which is available in S plane to GSHS plane. So that is what we are going to do for Nyquist plot. So first we must understand what is meant by Nyquist counter. So Nyquist counter. So this is S plane. In S plane, we have Nyquist counter like this. If there are no poles in imaginary axis for the given open loop transfer function. So the first thing is we have to determine whether any pole is available in imaginary axis or not for the given open loop transfer function. So if no pole is available, the Nyquist counter will be like this. Okay. So here it starts at 0. It goes up to plus infinity, and there is an arc with the radius of infinity, and it reaches minus infinity here, and from minus infinity it reaches up to 0. So here this becomes region C1, this becomes region C2, this becomes region C3. Okay, so this is what we have as the Nyquist counter when there is no pole in imaginary axis. So the main thing that we have to find is we have to find whether any pole is available in imaginary axis or not for the given open loop transfer function. Okay, so here if we have any pole in imaginary axis, then the Nyquist counter, it instead of crossing the pole location, it encircles the pole. Okay, it moves around the pole, it skips the pole. Okay, for example, if we have pole in the origin like this, so origin means we can assume that we can consider that it is a pole in imaginary axis too. So in that case, we will be having the Nyquist counter like this. So Nyquist counter, it doesn't cross the origin, it moves around the origin in this manner. And this is also an arc with a radius 0. Okay, so here there will be 4 regions. One is region C1 varying from 0 plus to infinity, and there is a region C2 which varies from the directions are very important, and there is a region C2 which is an arc, and the radius of arc is infinity, and region C3 it varies from minus infinity to 0 minus. It doesn't cross 0, it reaches up to 0 minus, very close to 0. Okay, then there is an arc from 0 minus to 0 plus. Okay, so the direction 0 minus to 0 plus with a radius of 0. Okay, 0 units. So this is what we call as Nyquist counter, and this kind of Nyquist counter is available in the S plane for the given transfer function, and this Nyquist counter should be transferred into GSHS plane. That is what we obtain as Nyquist plot. And one more example, if we have more poles in imaginary axis. Okay, so this is for understanding more poles in imaginary axis. So this is S plane, and let us assume that we have poles in origin and also here at this point and also at this point. Then we will be having the Nyquist counter starting from 0 plus and reaching up to this point in this direction, and there is an arc with radius 0, and it goes up to infinity plus, and there is an arc varying from pi by 2 to minus pi by 2, and with a radius of infinity. Again a straight line in this direction, again an arc with a radius 0 to surround this pole, again a straight line, again an arc with the radius r0 to surround the pole which is at origin. So we have region C1, this arc is region C2, this region is C3, this arc is region C4, and this region is C5, and this arc is C6, this is C7, and this is C8. Okay, so we have this much of regions, and this is Nyquist counter in S plane if there are this kind of poles in imaginary axis. So the main thing is we have to find the poles in imaginary axis, and with that we can determine the Nyquist counter for the given open loop transfer function. Okay, so here sketch the Nyquist poles for the following open loop transfer function given by GSHS is equal to k into 1 plus s the whole square divided by s cube. Determine the range of k for stability. So the first thing is we have to find how many poles are available in imaginary axis for the given transfer function. So the given transfer function is GSHS is equal to k into 1 plus s the whole square divided by s cube. So to find the poles, we equate denominator to 0 and s cube equal to 0, which means we have 3 poles and those 3 poles are available only at a single point, which is none other than the origin. So we have 3 poles at origin. So we'll be having the Nyquist counter in S plane like this. This is S plane. We have 3 poles and all those 3 poles are in origin. So we have Nyquist counter starting from 0 plus to infinity, and an arc with the radius of infinity, then a straight line from minus infinity to 0 minus, again an arc from 0 minus to 0 plus with the radius of 0. So this is region C1, this is region C2, this is region C3, this is region C4. Okay, so we have determined the Nyquist counter for the given transfer function. Now we are going to map each region to GSHS plane. Okay, so that is what we are going to do. Okay, so let us start with mapping region C1 to GSHS plane. Okay, so first let me write the transfer function here. GS into HS is equal to k into 1 plus s the whole square divided by s cube. So now I am going to do mapping C1 region to GSHS plane. Mapping of C1 region to GSHS plane. Okay. So here, let me write the transfer function again. GSHS is equal to k into 1 plus s the whole square divided by s cube. Now I am transferring this transfer function into frequency domain. So g of j omega into h of j omega. So I am replacing s by j omega to transfer it into frequency domain. K into 1 plus j omega the whole square divided by j omega the whole cube. This is equal to, I am applying a plus b the whole square formula, k into a square plus b square plus 2ab the whole divided by j cube omega cube. And now this is equal to, I am multiplying this k to each and every term which are inside the bracket, k plus, so here plus j square omega square, j square is minus 1 into k, minus k omega square plus j 2k omega divided by j cube. We have j square into j, so j square is minus 1 into j is minus j. Here we have minus j omega cube divided by minus j omega cube. Here again divided by minus j omega cube. Okay. So here this j and this j are getting cancelled, and this plus divided by minus is minus, negative we have here. So I am writing this one as real terms and imaginary terms separately. First I am writing the real terms. So here positive divided by negative is negative, and 2k omega divided by omega cube, this omega and omega cube are getting cancelled and we have omega square. So the real term is 2k divided by omega square, and here I am taking this minus j to the numerator, so it becomes plus j. So I have here plus jk divided by omega cube, so this term, and when I take this minus into the numerator, it becomes plus j, and here one more negative is there, plus into minus, it is minus, so minus j k omega square divided by omega cube, okay, and this is equal to minus 2k divided by omega square, and I am taking jk divided by omega cube outside, so they are common in both the terms, so plus jk divided by omega cube is taken outside, so it is not omega square, it is omega cube, jk divided by omega cube, and open bracket 1 minus omega square, okay, so this is what I have got, and this is real term, this is imaginary term, okay. Now I have to find the point at which this plot is crossing the real axis. When this plot crosses real axis, then the this imaginary term becomes 0. So we have imaginary axis, real axis. In imaginary axis, real term is 0. In real axis, imaginary term is 0. Okay, so here at phase crossover frequency, what happens? The plot crosses real axis, and when the plot crosses real axis, the imaginary term becomes 0. Okay, so at phase crossover frequency, that means when omega equal to omega pc. At omega equal to omega pc, we have the plot crossing real axis. When the plot crosses real axis, the imaginary term is 0. So that means k divided by omega cube into 1 minus omega square. Okay, so phase crossover frequency, that is equal to 0. When I solve this, I am getting 1 minus omega pc square equal to 0. When I take this, so I am writing here 1 minus omega square suffix pc equal to 0. When I take this 1 to the right hand side, it becomes minus 1, and here I have one minus, and this minus and that minus, they are getting cancelled each other. So finally I have omega square pc is equal to 1, and omega pc should be equal to plus or minus root of 1. Since it is the frequency in radians per second, it cannot be negative, so we are considering only the positive value. So omega pc, the phase crossover frequency is 1 radian per second. Okay, so I may need this value in the future, so I am making a note of that value here for future reference. Omega pc, omega crossover frequency is equal to 1 radian per second. Okay, now I am substituting this value. So this is again g of j omega into h of j omega. Or the transfer function. Here I am substituting this value, omega pc is equal to 1 radian per second. So at omega equal to omega pc, I am getting the transfer function as minus 2k. When I substitute this one over here, I am getting minus 2k divided by 1 square, that is equal to minus 2k. So g of j omega at phase crossover frequency, h of j omega at phase crossover frequency, they are equal to minus 2k. So I am making a note of this value also for future reference, because this will be highly useful to find the value of k in the future after plotting the Nyquist plot completely. So g of j omega pc into h of j omega pc equal to minus 2k. Okay. So when the plot is crossing a real axis, I am getting these values. So now again I am going to take the transfer function, and I am going to solve. I am going to plot the polar plot for the given transfer function. GSHS is equal to g of j omega into h of j omega equal to in frequency domain. I am writing in frequency domain. So how do we plot polar plot? We write the given transfer function in magnitude and phase separately, and for omega equal to then we are weighing omega from 0 to infinity. For different values of omega from 0 to infinity, we are plotting the magnitude separately and phase separately. So this is how we plot polar plot. The same thing that we are going to do here, but here we are not going to take the value of omega from 0 to infinity, but we are taking only the two values of omega. So one is omega equal to 0, another one is omega equal to infinity. For omega equal to 0, we are going to find the magnitude and phase, and for omega equal to 0 and for omega equal to infinity, again we are going to find the magnitude and phase. With the knowledge that we have on a polar plot, we are going to plot the polar plot using these two values: omega equal to 0, magnitude and phase; omega equal to infinity, magnitude and phase. So that is what we are going to do now. G of j omega into h of j omega equal to k into 1 plus j omega the whole square divided by j omega the whole cube. So this can be rewritten as k into 1 plus j omega into 1 plus j omega, k into 1 plus j omega into 1 plus j omega divided by j cube omega cube. Now I am going to write this one in magnitude and phase separately. Here for k, the magnitude is root of k square, and k square, the square and root are getting cancelled, and so we have k, and the angle is 0 degree. Since it is a real number, here we have both real and imaginary value. So for this term, we can write the magnitude as root of real square plus imaginary square, and the angle is tan inverse of imaginary part divided by real part. Okay, so tan inverse of omega divided by 1, so that is omega. Now for this one again we are going to write this term in magnitude and phase separately. So the same term is repeating. Root of 1 plus omega square into tan inverse of omega, and this is angle, divided by omega cube. For this one, the magnitude is root of omega cube the whole square, and square and the square root are getting cancelled, and we have the magnitude as omega, and here we have the cube of imaginary j value, imaginary j. So if we have j, then we have omega, the angle is 90 degree, because there is no real term here. We have only the imaginary term as omega cube. So this can be considered as tan inverse of omega cube divided by tan inverse of imaginary part divided by real part. So here real part is 0. Tan inverse of imaginary part omega cube divided by 0 is tan inverse of infinity. Tan inverse of infinity is 90 degree. So but here we have j cube. So 3 times the 90 degree is 270 degree. So angle 270 degree. Okay. Now I am rewriting this one as imaginary term and phase term separately. So magnitude terms and phase terms separately. The magnitude terms are k into root of 1 plus omega square into root of 1 plus omega square divided by omega cube. Root of 1 plus omega square into root of 1 plus omega square is 1 plus omega square divided by omega cube. So this is magnitude, and the phase is tan inverse of omega into tan inverse of omega divided by 270 degree. So angle 2 times tan inverse of omega, then I am taking this angle 270 degree to the numerator, it becomes minus 270 degree. Okay, so this is the equation which is useful, which is used to plot the polar plot, and in this equation I am going to substitute the value of omega equal to 0 and omega equal to infinity, and I am going to derive the magnitude and the phase separately. Okay, so at omega equal to 0, this equation becomes at omega equal to 0, g of j omega into h of j omega. Okay, so we have 0 in the denominator. So when 0 is available in denominator, the entire term becomes, so anything divided by 0 is infinity. So the entire term becomes infinity. The magnitude is infinity. Now to determine phase, I am substituting omega equal to 0 here. So tan inverse of 0 is 0 degree. 2 times 0 degree is again 0 degree. Minus 270 degree. So the angle is 0 minus 270 degrees minus 270 degree. Okay, so at omega equal to 0, the magnitude is infinity and the angle is minus 270 degree. With this knowledge, we can plot the polar plot. Again, at omega equal to infinity, I have to determine the value. At omega equal to infinity, g of j omega into h of j omega equal to, I am substituting omega equal to infinity here. When infinity is in the denominator, anything divided by infinity becomes 0. So the magnitude becomes 0, and the phase is tan inverse of infinity is 90 degree. 2 times the 90 degree is 180 degree. 180 degree minus 270 degrees again minus 90 degree. Okay, so the angle is minus 90 degree. Okay, so this is what I have got. So with this knowledge, I am going to plot the polar plot in GSHS plane. Okay, So here in S plane, I have got the region C1 like this, from 0 plus to infinity. I have got C1 region. So this is the Nyquist counter, C1 region of Nyquist counter. I have to transfer it to GSHS plane. In GSHS plane, the plot has magnitude infinity and angle minus 270 degree when omega equal to 0. Okay, so it starts from here, and when omega equal to infinity, it has magnitude 0 and angle minus 90 degree. So angle minus 270 degree means, so this is angle 0 degree, this is angle minus 90 degree. When I move in a clockwise direction, it becomes negative of angle. Okay, so 0 degree, minus 90 degree, minus 180 degree, minus 270 degree. So this is minus 270 degree. So I have to start from here, and there is no starting point. Okay, since the magnitude is infinity, there is no starting point. Okay, it goes on. Okay, it may start anywhere, and it goes in this direction. And when omega equal to infinity, the angle is minus 90 degree. So 0 degree, minus 90 degree, but the magnitude is 0. So magnitude is 0 means it has to be at this point. Okay, and we have the polar plot like this, and it is in this direction. Okay, and the point at which the plot is crossing the real axis is minus 2k, which we have determined already. So at omega equal to phase crossover frequency, this plot is crossing the real axis, and the point at which it is crossing the real axis is minus 2k. Okay, right? So this is how I have mapped region C1 to GSHS plane. So this is GSHS plane. So I have done it for region C1. I am making a note of this one because I have to map region C2, C3, C4 separately, and I have to combine all the mappings into a single plot that becomes Nyquist plot. So that is what I am going to do now. So here I am noting it separately. Okay, so here for region C1 I have the plot like this, and here the point at which it is crossing the real axis is minus 2k. This is for region C1. Okay, I have mapped C1 to GSHS plane in this manner. Okay, so I am making a note of it. Now I am going to do mapping of C2 to GSHS plane. Okay, so here C2 in S plane, it is an arc with radius infinity. Okay, and it varies from plus pi by 2 to minus pi by 2. So plus pi by 2 means plus 90 degree, and it inside minus 90 degree. So the angle is varying from 90 degree, plus 90 degree to minus 90 degree, plus pi by 2 to minus pi by 2. And with this, I am going to make an assumption. Now I am going to map region C2, mapping of C2 region to GSHS plane. Okay, so that is what I am going to do. Now it is an arc with radius infinity, and it is varying from plus pi by 2 to minus pi by 2. So I am making an assumption here. Let S is equal to limit r tends to infinity. Okay, r tends to infinity because the radius is infinity, and it is r into e power j theta. Okay, so I am making this assumption. With this assumption, I am writing the transfer function again. The transfer function is GS HS is equal to k into 1 plus s the whole square divided by s cube. Okay, at s is equal to limit r tends to infinity r into e power j theta. So what happens here? I can replace s by r into e power j theta, and the value of r is infinity. When I compare infinity and 1, infinity is very very large compared to 1, otherwise 1 is very very negligible compared to infinity, so I can reject this 1. Okay, so here this equation can be written as k into, when I reject this, when I neglect this 1, it becomes k into s divided by, sorry, s square, 1 square is there, k into s square divided by s cube. So ultimately I have k divided by s, k divided by s at s is equal to limit r tends to infinity r into e power j theta. Okay, so this can be written as k divided by limit r tends to infinity r into e power j theta. Okay, and when I substitute infinitive instead of r, it becomes k divided by infinity. K divided by infinity is 0. So the magnitude becomes 0. So this equation can be written as this is equal to 0. K divided by infinity is 0. And when I take e power j theta to the numerator, it becomes e power minus j theta. Okay, so e power minus j theta. And now again this r varies from plus pi by 2 to minus pi by 2. Okay, so theta varies from plus pi by 2 to minus pi by 2. Okay, when theta equal to plus pi by 2, let us see what is happening here. At theta equal to plus pi by 2, gs hs is equal to g of s into h of s is equal to, okay, so instead of theta I am replacing theta by plus pi by 2, so it becomes 0 e power minus j pi by 2. Okay, 0 e power plus into minus is minus, and instead of j is there, and I am replacing theta by pi by 2. Okay, now at theta equal to minus pi by 2, at theta equal to minus pi by 2, I am getting g of s into h of s as the magnitude is 0 and the angle is e power, here one minus is there, here one minus is there, minus into minus plus, and I have j here, j, and replacing theta by pi by 2. Okay, so here mapping of region C2 to GSHS plane, again I have got an arc with magnitude 0, with radius 0, and the angle it is varying from minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. So the direction is different. So this arc varies from plus pi by 2 to pi by 2, plus pi by 2 to minus pi by 2, and its radius is infinity. Whereas here this arc in GSHS plane, it has got the radius as 0, and it is varying from minus pi by 2 to plus pi by 2. Okay. So if I draw, it will be more elaborate. In S plane, I have got region C2 as an arc in this direction. So the radius of arc is infinity, and it is varying from plus pi by 2 to minus pi by 2. The angle is varying from plus pi by 2 to minus pi by 2. So it is in this direction. The Nyquist counter is in this direction. When I transfer it to GSHS plane, I am getting GSHS plane here like this, and in GSHS plane also I got an arc for this region C2. So this is region C2, I have got an arc, and the radius of arc is 0. So it is 0. Okay, the radius is 0, and it is varying from minus pi by 2. When theta equal to plus pi by 2, it has got an angle minus pi by 2, and it is reaching up to plus pi by 2. So the direction is here, in this direction. The region C2 is in this direction, whereas in GSHS plane it is in this direction, minus pi by 2 to plus pi by 2. So this is in GSHS plane. Okay, so I am making a note of this one also. In GSHS plane, I have got an arc like this, and the angle is varying from minus pi by 2 to plus pi by 2, and its radius is 0. Okay, so these are the things I am making note. So this is for region C2, mapping of region C2. So I have done mapping of C1 and C2. Now mapping of C3 region. Okay, so here now I am going to map C3 region. When I see region C1 and C3, they resemble each other. They are mirror image to each other. Okay, they are mirror image to each other. So in GSHS plane also, the mapping is the mirror image of region C1. Okay, so in region C1 I have got this kind of plot. In GSHS plane, for region C3, I will be having this kind of plot. Okay, since it is mirror image, I will be having this kind of plot. So it starts at 0 and move in this direction. Okay, so here in this direction, it crosses real axis at minus 2k. Okay, so this is for region C3. Since region C3 is the mirror image of C1. The mapping in GSHS plane is also the mirror image of the mapping of C1 region in GSHS plane. Okay, so this was for C3 region, the mapping is done. Now for C4 region, mapping of C4 region, we are going to do. Okay, so C4 region, here C4 region is an arc, and the radius of the arc is 0, and it varies from minus pi by 2 to plus pi by 2. So to map this, we are making an assumption. Let S is equal to R into e power j theta, where there is a limit for R, it is tending to 0. Okay, because the radius of this arc is 0 and it is varying from minus pi by 2 to pi by 2. First let us substitute with this. Okay, so here for this arc, for the region C2 arc, we assume we tended the value of R to infinity, whereas here we are tending the value of R to 0 since its radius is 0. Okay, now I am writing the transfer function again. GSHS is equal to k into 1 plus s the whole square divided by s cube. S is equal to limit r tends to 0 r into e power j theta. Okay, now I am replacing s by r into e power j theta. So when I replace s by r into e power j theta, and the value of r is also tending to 0, so it becomes 1 plus 0 the whole square divided by s cube. So this becomes k into 1 square divided by s cube, that is equal to k by s cube. K divided by s cube at s is equal to limit r tends to 0 r into e power j theta. Okay, then again this is equal to k divided by r into e power j theta, where limit r tends to 0. So when r is tending to 0, k divided by 0 becomes infinity. Okay, so this is equal to, and I forgot one more thing, and this is s cube. So here the whole power 3. Okay, so k divided by 0 cube is k divided by 0, so that is infinity. So I have got the radius as infinity, and e power j theta can be written as e power j 3 theta, and when I bring e power j 3 theta to the numerator, it becomes e power minus j 3 theta. Right? And here theta is varying from minus pi by 2 to plus pi by 2. So I have to substitute the value of theta from minus pi by 2 to plus pi by 2 instead of plus pi by 2 to minus pi by 2. It is not varying from plus pi by 2 to minus pi by 2. It is varying from minus pi by 2 to plus pi by 2. The direction is very, very important. Okay. So now I am substituting at theta equal to minus pi by 2. I have got GS Hs equal to, the radius is infinity, and it is e power minus j 3 pi by 2. Sorry, e power plus j 3 pi by 2, because here one minus, minus into minus plus j 3, and replacing theta by pi by 2. Okay, now at theta equal to plus pi by 2. At theta equal to plus pi by 2, I am getting GS into Hs is equal to, the radius is infinity, and e power here one plus, here one minus, plus into minus minus, and j 3 replacing theta by pi by 2. Okay, so when theta is negative, we are getting here in the mapping the angle is positive. When theta is positive in mapping in GSHS plane, we are getting the angle is negative, and it is also varying from 3 pi by 2 to minus 3 pi by 2. Okay, it is varying from 3 pi by 2 to minus 3 pi by 2. Now we are going to map it. In S plane we have the counter like this. For region C4, the radius is 0, and it is going in this direction from minus pi by 2 to plus pi by 2. It is in S plane. I am going to map it to GSHS plane. In GSHS plane, this is imaginary axis, this is real axis. We have got the arc, and the radius of the arc is infinity. It is varying from plus 3 pi by 2. I have to find plus 3 pi by 2. So this is 0, this is plus pi by 2. So positive angle means when we move in anti-clockwise direction, we will be getting positive angle. Okay, 0 plus pi by 2 plus 2 pi by 2 plus 3 pi by 2. So I have plus 3 by 2 here with radius infinity. With radius infinity, I am getting 3 pi by 2 at this point. Okay, now I have to find minus 3 pi by 2. So minus 3 pi by 2 means I have to move in clockwise direction. This is 0, this is minus pi by 2, minus 2 pi by 2, minus 3 pi by 2. So this is minus 3 pi by 2 and the radius is infinity. So the plot varies from plus 3 pi by 2 to minus 3 pi by 2. So can I map like this from this point to this point? Like this? No, it is wrong. Because from plus 3 pi by 2 to minus 3 pi by 2, it has traveled a distance of pi. But the actual distance between plus 3 pi by 2 to minus 3 pi by 2 is 6 pi by 2. Okay, so 3 pi by 2 to minus 3 pi by 2. The distance is 6 pi by 2. Okay, so here and also it should vary in opposite direction of C4. So C4 it is going in anti-clockwise direction. So this mapping should go in clockwise direction because the angle is negative to each other. Okay, when theta equal to negative angle, here it is positive. When theta is positive, here in the mapping it is negative. So it should go in opposite direction. Again, the distance should be, the angular distance should be 6 pi by 2. Okay, so I cannot map like this. I cannot start from here and start in here. Instead of that, I have to travel up to a distance of 6 pi by 2. So I am starting here. I am moving in clockwise direction. Okay, opposite to the direction of C4 arc. Okay, so here now I have traveled pi by 2. I have traveled 2 pi by 2. I have traveled 3 pi by 2. I have traveled 4 pi by 2. Now reached 5 pi by 2. Now reached 6 pi by 2. Okay, so here this is how we have to plot. Right? So this is how we have mapped region C4 in S plane to GSHS plane. Right? I hope you have understood why this kind of things are done. Okay, the angular distance, in order to match with the angular distance, we are encircling like this, and the direction should be to the opposite of the C4 region in S plane, to the direction of C4 or in S plane. Okay, so this one we have done. So I am making note of this mapping also separately. Okay, in GSHS plane, it starts at minus 3 pi by 2 and it moves in clockwise direction, sorry, anti-clockwise direction, traveling a distance of 6 pi by 2. Okay, so here it is also, here also we have got an arc. The arc has a radius of infinity and it varies from minus 3 pi by 2, sorry, it varies from 3 pi by 2 to minus 3 pi by 2. Okay, so this is for region C4. Now I am going to combine region C1, C2, C3, C4 completely. So the complete Nyquist plot becomes the combination of all the 4 mappings. Complete Nyquist plot. So this is GSHS plane. GSHS plane. In GSHS plane, C1 mapping is here. I have got C1 mapping here. Okay, and C2 mapping, it is an arc starting from here to here in this direction. This is in this direction and this is in this direction. And for region C3, it is the mirror image of region C1. So I am getting like this. And region C4 is an arc with infinite radius starting from plus 3 pi by 2 to ending at minus 3 pi by 2. So it should go like this. Okay, so this is Nyquist plot. Okay, so for region C1 we have got this, and region C2 and region C3 like this, and this is region C4. Right? So this is the complete Nyquist plot, and the point at which it is crossing the real axis is minus 2k. So this is minus 2k, but this is minus 2k point. Right? Now, this can be made more clear. Okay, so this should be drawn like this. the radius of this arc is 0, and this is not a knot, this is the mirror image of the, so this is region C1. So I hope you have understood this. This is the complete Nyquist plot. Now we have to find the range of K for the stability. Okay, so here for stability we have to consider a point called minus 1 plus j0. Minus 1 plus j0. We have to determine, so minus 1 plus j0, it is a point in real axis because the imaginary value is 0. So this must be a point in real axis, and this point should be identified. We have to find the encirclements of the plot around this point. Okay, so how many encirclements are there for this point? And if the encirclements are in clockwise direction or anti-clockwise direction, if it is in clockwise direction, then the system is unstable. The number of encirclements in clockwise direction indicate the number of right-hand poles. Okay, number of right-hand poles in S plane. Okay, so with that we can determine the stability of the system. If there is an we have encirclement in clockwise direction, then we can encirclement around this point in clockwise direction. We can determine, we can conclude that the system is unstable. So the value of K can be this open loop gain. The value of K can be controlled, can be adjusted, so that there is no encirclement around this point in clockwise direction. So to that way it can be controlled. So what should be the proper value of K so that there is no encirclement around this point minus 1 plus j0. So that is what we are going to determine. Okay, so minus 2K minus 1 plus j0. Okay, so here to find the maximum value of K, so why this point? Why this minus 1 plus j0 point? So that question also has to be answered. Okay, so here when in any question open loop transfer function is given as g of s, and in order to find the stability we go for closed loop transfer function. We find the stability of the system using the characteristic equation, and the characteristic equation can be determined from the closed loop transfer function. Closed loop transfer function can be determined from open loop transfer function in this manner: g of s divided by 1 plus g of s into h of s, and the denominator, when we equate this denominator to 0, 1 plus g of s into h of s is equal to 0, this becomes the characteristic equation. So for all the other kind of problems we proceed in this manner. We take the characteristic equation and we find the stability. For example, even in Routh-Hurwitz criterion method of finding stability, we use this kind of characteristic equation to find the stability of the system. Whereas for Nyquist plot it is quite different. Okay, so g of s into, because we are mapping the Nyquist plot in GSHS plane, so we have to keep GSHS plane in left hand side, and taking the remaining terms to the right hand side, we will be getting GSHS is equal to minus 1, and here we have only the real term. In order to combine with imaginary term, we can write it as GSHS is equal to minus 1 plus j0. So minus 1 plus j0, it is a point in GSHS plane. So GSHS plane minus 1 plus j0, it is equivalent to the characteristic equation of closed loop transfer function. So we are considering the minus 1 plus j0 as a standard point. If there is any encirclement around this point in clockwise direction, we are concluding that it is an unstable system. If there are if the encirclements are in anti-clockwise direction, then we are making the conclusion that it is a stable system. So for maximum stability, this minus 2k should be exactly matched with minus 1 plus j0 for marginal stability. So minus 2k should be equal to find the maximum value of k, I am writing minus 2k should be equal to minus 1 plus j0. That means minus 2k equal to minus 1, and so k equal to 1 by 2, that is equal to 0.5. So I am making a note of it. K, the maximum value of k is 0.5. Okay, so with this I am making a note of it. Now for k greater than equal to greater than 0.5 or k less than 0.5, the value of if there are any encirclements for minus 1 plus j0, so that is what I am going to determine now. Okay, so I have to determine the number of encirclements around minus 1 plus j0 for both k less than 0.5 and k greater than 0.5. Okay, first let me apply it for k less than 0.5. For k less than 0.5, what happens? Let us assume that for k less than 0.5, we have got GSHS is equal to minus 2k. Okay, so let us assume that k is equal to 0.4. Okay, so 0.4 means minus 2 into 0.4 minus 0.8. Okay, for k equal to 0.4. So k less than 0.5 means 0.4 is less than 0.4. Okay, so GSHS is equal to minus 0.8. So minus 0.8 means, so the plot is crossing the real axis at minus 0.8. This is the plot GSHS. This is crossing the real axis at minus 0.8. So this becomes minus 0.8. Okay, so if this is minus 0.8, then where do we have 1 plus j0? To the left side of this point. If this is 0.8, we have minus 1 plus j0 to the left side of this point. Okay, so the left side of this point means we'll be having around here. So this point is minus 1 plus j0. So this is minus 1 plus j0 for k less than 0.5. Okay, the radius of this arc is infinity, so it cannot go beyond this arc. Okay, so it should be within this arc, but this is 0.8. It should be to the left of this point. Left of this 0.8, we are having minus 1 plus j0. Now minus 1 plus j0 is here. We have to determine the number of encirclements around this minus 1 plus j0. So this is minus 1 plus j0 for k less than 0.5. So how many encirclements are here for minus 1 plus j0? So we have one encirclement. So this one. This is one encirclement. And this encirclement is in clockwise direction. Clockwise direction. And another one encirclement is this one. This is also in clockwise direction. So we have two encirclements in clockwise direction. That means we have two right hand poles. Two poles in the right hand side of S plane. Okay. So since right hand poles are available, the system becomes unstable. The system is unstable. So the system is unstable for k less than 0.5. So that is what we can conclude with this. Now let us assume the value of k greater than 0.5. So we are going to do the same thing for k greater than 0.5. For k greater than 0.5, let us assume the value of k to be 1. Okay, so GSHS is equal to minus 2k, that is equal to minus 2. So minus 2 if we assume the value of k to be 1. Okay, so k equal to 1 means k is greater than 0.5. So minus 2 means if we have the plot is GSHS is crossing the real axis at minus 2. So this becomes minus 2. Okay, so not this one. Okay, so this one GSHS, the plot is crossing the real axis at GSHS is equal to minus 2. So this becomes minus 2. Okay, for if k equal to 1, that means minus 1 plus j0, it lies to the right hand side of this point. So here we will be having minus 1 plus j0. Here we will be having minus 1 plus j0. So this is minus 1 plus j0 for k greater than 0.5. So for k greater than 0.5, we will be having minus 1 plus j0 at a point which is at the right hand side of the crossing of real axis, crossing of the plot in real axis. Okay, so the plot crosses the real axis at this point and we will be having minus 1 plus j0 here. And now we have to identify the number of encirclements around this minus 1 plus j0. So here also around minus 1 plus j0 there is an encirclement. So this is that encirclement, and this encirclement is anti-clockwise direction. And one more encirclement we have. This is that encirclement, and this is in clockwise direction. And there is no encirclement in this loop. With this loop there is no encirclement, and with this loop also there is no encirclement. Okay, so we have two encirclements, one in anti-clockwise direction and another one in clockwise direction. So the clockwise direction encirclement and the anti-clockwise direction encirclement, both the encirclements cross each other. As a result, cancel each other. As a result, we can say that the system is stable. Okay, so the effect produced by clockwise encirclement is cancelled by the anti-clockwise encirclement. So there is no pole in the right hand side plane, in the right hand side of S plane, so that we can conclude that for k greater than 0.5 the system is stable. Okay, the system is marginally stable for k equal to 0.5. The system is highly stable for the values of k greater than 0.5. This is what we can conclude with this Nyquist plot. Okay, so this is how we can plot Nyquist plot in GSHS plane. We have to plot Nyquist plot in GSHS plane. So all the things related to Nyquist plot is will be clearly understandable with this video, I hope. And we are also able to determine the range of k, range of open loop gain for making the system to be stable. So all those things are understandable with this video with related to Nyquist plot. So if you like this video, kindly give your comment in the comment box, and don't forget to subscribe my channel Easy Lecture. Meet you again in another video. Share this video with your friends and like this video. Meet you again in another video. Until then, bye. Thank you.